very much want you to come tomorrow.
Why?
Because you're a very special person. It wouldn't be the same without you. Say you'll come.
On December 18th, 1992, 20th Century Fox released a new Robin Williams vehicle called Toys. Directed by Barry Levinson, it tells the story of an eccentric toy maker conflicted over the production of war-themed playthings. The film was not very well received by critics and flopped in the box office, but has remained, if not a full cult classic, at least a visually interesting piece. Ferdinando Scarfiati's art direction and Albert Wolski's costume design both being nominated for Academy Awards. The film look is surreal and painterly, taking inspiration from the whimsical factory of Willy Wonka and filtering it through the works of René Magritte, and then doing it all up in pastels. Whatever your opinion on the film itself, there's no denying that it had a unique and striking visual identity. And it's my theory that, shortly after the film's release, someone in the production of Are You Afraid of the Dark went, "Hey, what if we did the Toys thing with virtually no budget?"
Go ahead. Birdie.
The Tale of the 13th Floor is the 4th episode of Season 2 of Are You Afraid of the Dark, the 17th episode overall. Originally airing on July 10th, 1993, this is the story of Karen and Billy, two siblings living in an old apartment complex who like to goof off around in the building's abandoned 13th floor. Karen is adopted, and lately has been feeling inadequate, losing at virtually all of the sports and games she plays with her brother.
I think the net's right there.
I know that. If I had your genes, I could do it.
What have my genes got to do with it?
Not your blue genes, Zipperhead, your biological genes.
You couldn't have bothered to put the brother in actual blue jeans for this joke? Okay. One day, things start to get weird. Outside, flashing lights of mysterious origin. The elevator operator gets replaced by an unsettling man with alpha dog hockey hair. And then Karen starts to have strange dreams of a strange man talking to her through her television, expressing eagerness to meet her. Karen receives an invitation to the 13th floor, which appears to have been taken over by a toy company. They want the young girl to try out some of their new products. Karen insists on bringing Billy, and the two of them discover just what's been going on the floor above them. The toy makers start to run the kids through a series of games, and for the first time ever, Karen is doing better than Billy. As Billy seems to be getting weaker, Karen starts developing new talents, including telekinesis. This toy company isn't on the up and up, and these people soon reveal themselves to be faceless aliens who wish to take Karen away. Well, if you wanted to kidnap a kid, maybe you shouldn't have unlocked their superpowers first. Using her newfound gifts, Karen gives them the slip, rescuing Billy and escaping the 13th floor as the aliens are forced to take off, having a very strict time limit as to how long they can be on Earth. They send Karen one more message, explaining that she is one of their species, accidentally abandoned on this planet 10 years ago, and they will be back for her 10 years from now.
We can't stay any longer. We've run out of atmosphere. It will be another 10 years before we can return.
What's she talking about? Is this a joke or what?
See you in 10 years. Goodbye for now, dear.
You may think you know someone, but think again and look a little closer.
It's a striking final image. Are You Afraid of the Dark is good at that, giving you some really affecting visuals to seed your bad dreams with. Unfortunately, it's a striking image in a real slog of an episode, handled by some of the less established members of the creative team. This was the third and final screenplay by Ann Appleton. She had previously worked on The Tale of the Hungry Hounds and The Tale of the Captured Souls. Mixed bags, in my opinion. Appleton doesn't seem to have any other additional credits. Whatever she did after this show wasn't in show business. This is the first of 2 episodes directed by Michael Kush, the other being The Tale of the Quicksilver, which I would argue is a bit underrated. But unlike Appleton, Kush has done a lot over the years. Quite the variety of things, too. From the Corey Haim drag comedy Just One of the Girls, to some of the late period straight-to-DVD Steven Seagal movies, and just a ton of German TV films. Considering the TV budget Toys look this episode brings, it's also worth mentioning Rael Prue, the show's main art director and production designer. I'm surprised how little information there is about them on the web, because not only did Prue help develop the look of the spookiest children's horror show ever, they ended up working on some major Hollywood films, including The Day After Tomorrow, The Aviator, Journey to the Center of the Earth, and Shutter Island. Their work on this episode is a case where scope doesn't quite match capability or budget, but it's still an interesting effort. The Toys connection is just my personal theory. I don't believe anyone involved in the show has ever said as much, but the show's version of a wacky pastel toy factory feels like what a stage version of Toys might look like. It's very small and very sparse, but just surreal enough to be off-putting. And I hope you like these 3 sparse rooms, because we're going to be running back and forth through them over and over and over and over and over again. The middle segment of this episode is essentially an extended chase scene in this tiny little set. Karen runs from one room to the other. One of the bad guys tries to catch her, she does something to give them the slip, and makes her way back to the first room to try and get an unconscious Billy. The bad guys follow her back, Karen runs away, rinse, repeat. Seriously, this chase goes on for a bit over 6 minutes, 25% of the episode's runtime, and it is quite boring. For Knacks Sample Platter, this is our 3rd episode dealing with adoption in some capacity. You Can't Do That on Television chose to mock it. Hey Arnold used real history to contextualize it, and Are You Afraid of the Dark uses it to punctuate a spooky story. Though, notably, not as the source of the spookiness. It's a plot element that motivates the antagonists, but we get nothing along the lines of Karen feeling like she doesn't somehow belong in her family. She never feels othered by her status as an adopted sibling. She feels inadequate in her abilities compared to her brother, and jokes it's because of her inferior genes, but that's not actually the case. She's just not as good at sports because some people are just not as good at sports. The episode does a pretty good job using Karen's adoption as a plot element without othering adopted children, so thumbs up for that. The Tale of the 13th Floor is a pitch-perfect example of a mixed bag, an even spread of electric horror visuals and low-budget cheapness, tenderly written characterizations, and uninspired action. But sometimes you just need that one striking image to be remembered, and a lot of people remember this episode for that one image. A lot of episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark don't even get that. But, that's for a future video. This was just a sample.